Alright guys, we are on the Stronger Two-Handed Weapons mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And as always, I recommend go ahead and endorse this mod if you like it. It's basically the like button for Nexus Mods. I can't do that because I've just recently downloaded this. But once that timer is gone, I'm definitely endorsing this mod. Seems like a really good one. Okay, so what is stronger two-handed weapons? Well, if you've played Oblivion long enough, you kind of have probably noticed, especially if you're a number cruncher, that the two-handed weapons in Oblivion Remastered are a bit weaker than you would expect. And there's actually a lot of issues in this, but this one is specifically a power increase for the two-handed weapons. They absolutely do more damage than a dagger per hit, but the problem is the attack speed for the two-handed weapons is so slow that the dagger actually outperforms it with DPS. So damage per second, the dagger is actually winning, unfortunately. And a lot of people really don't like that. They like to think of the dagger as the weak weapon and the two-handed weapons as the absolute power of the game. And I can very much understand why we would want to increase the damage of these two-handed weapons. And this is exactly what this mod does. And conveniently, it comes with 4 different files that all go over different multipliers to multiply the damage of the two-handed weapons. So the default version is a 1.6 times damage multiplier, which I think is fairly balanced, pretty good. And that's the one that I'm going to go over installation of today. But there are other versions. There's a 2 times, a 3.2 times, and a 4 times version. So just keep in mind, when you're looking at these, it's not only going to multiply your damage, but also the enemy's damage as well when they have two-handed weapons. So 4 times damage may 100% be what you want. It may make the two-handed weapons feel more like the strongest weapons in the game, but at the same time, it is going to make enemies much more challenging as well. But that's neither here nor there. I think you guys can probably determine for yourselves what of these works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over which is which and all that. But I do want to talk about one more thing before we dive too far into installation, and that is the requirements for this mod. So there's 2 mod requirements here. By default, this mod here comes with a built-in patch for Oblivion unleveled rewards. So, balanced unleveled rewards. If you have that mod installed, this mod is going to be compatible with it by default. But if you don't have this mod installed, there is a little bit of extra work for the manual installation and Vortex installation even specifically to make sure that the balance patch is not in there. The other thing is if you have Oblivion, the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch, you will need to go to this mod page, which is right here, the Oblivion Remastered patch repository, and you'll need to go and download the final patch here as of today, which is the Stronger Two-Handed Weapons UORP patch. So just keep in mind, if you have the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch, you will need to download this as well. Okay. With both of those things out of the way, let's dive into installation, and I will cover this little patch in a bit. Okay, so first thing that you need to do, and I'm going to, just FYI guys, I'm going to cover both the Vortex and manual installation for this mod, and I think that's the format I'm going to start sticking to. I get enough comments about manual installation, so here we go. We're going to do the Vortex download first, which is the Mod Manager download. I'm going to do a slow download. And in Vortex, you're going to see Stronger Two-Handed times 1.6 damage installed right there. And normally this is the part of the video where I say, ta-da, it's all done, Vortex is done. But that is definitely not the case right now. What we need to do is we need to actually open up the mod folder here, open in File Manager, and you're going to see 3 different ESPs here, and Vortex is going to try, and I'm assuming with the load order, have all 3 of these installed right now. Let's scroll on down. Stronger Two-Handed, Burr, No Deluxe, and Stronger Two-Handed. So it does have all 3 of these installed, and that is actually a problem right now. We do not want Vortex to have all 3 of these installed. You will only need either this one or this one. You can't really have both. This ESP file is if you do not have the deluxe edition of Oblivion Remastered, then this is the ESP file that you want between these two. Okay? If you do have the deluxe edition, you're going to want this ESP file. Now for the different multipliers, this might not be x160, it might be x2 or x320 or x4. The number might be different. The difference here is the no deluxe. So if you don't have the deluxe edition, this is what you want. I do have the deluxe edition, so this is the ESP file that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the other one. And then I am also currently not using the BUR mod, which if we look back here at the requirements, is the Balanced Unleveled Rewards Remastered. I am not using that mod currently, so what I want to do is get rid of this patch file. Now if you do have that mod installed, then you want to just go ahead and leave this ESP file here, and that is it. Now, the other thing I would like to point out here is this compatibility patch is right now above Stronger Two-Handed Weapons, which will probably cause problems. You'll want to have it underneath your Stronger Two-Handed Weapons, or the Stronger Two-Handed No Deluxe Weapons. Okay? So you want the Burr patch at the bottom if you do have it installed in your load order for Vortex. I do not have the Burr mod, so I'm going to actually delete that as well. And now I only have Stronger Two-Handed 160. Now, as you can probably tell, that is a problem because I should only have this showing up. If I refresh the list, it's still there. So what we need to do, now that I have deleted those files in Stronger Two-Handed, I'm going to disable this mod. Modular outside Vortex. Yeah, we're going to save changes. Confirm. Alright, so load order. We don't have it there. And then I'm going to enable Stronger Two-Handed X 1.6 damage. And what we should see in the load order is we now only have the one file, which is exactly what we wanted. Now I have Stronger Two-Handed times 160 ESP in my load order. That's the only file I need because I have the deluxe edition and I don't have the other mod. Okay, so that's good to go. The only last step is I actually do have the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch installed, so I'm going to also need this patcher. And it's a pretty simple process. We're just going to do a mod manager download, a slow download. And we're looking for Oblivion Remastered. Oblivion Remastered Patch Repository. Stronger Two-Handed Weapons, UORP. So now that we have that there, we can check our load order. And I just want to make sure that that patch is underneath both the Stronger Two-Handed ESP file and the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch, which I usually have up at the top. Okay, so as long as this patch is underneath both of those in the load order here on Vortex, everything is good to go, and this mod is officially installed using Vortex. Now, the fun part. I'm going to walk you guys through the manual installation now. So it's a very straightforward process. We're going to do the manual download options here, do a slow download, and as you guys very well may know, I have a manual mods folder here where I have my manual installation mods all in one place. It's very convenient to organize and have them all in one place. It's going to be a .rar file. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And as it's done downloading, we're going to see it here. And what I need to do now is I need to extract a 7-zip. I'm just going to extract to this folder. As you can see, it is now right there. It's just a regular folder, unzipped. And I'm going to go ahead and delete the original because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to open this up, and as you can see, we have all three of these files that we were messing around with Vortex. I suppose I don't need that opened anymore. What we need to do is we need to go into our Oblivion Remastered Games folder, and we can do that simply from Vortex. Of course, if you're not using Vortex, yeah, it is what it is. You probably are familiar with where your Oblivion Remastered is at. This is the Steam Apps Common Oblivion Remastered folder, wherever you have Steam and Steam Apps installed. And what we want to do, and I'll just real quick double check the exact location. You can see here we have installation instructions with no mod manager. We need to go into Oblivion Remastered Content Dev OBV Data folder, which is not that hard to follow. Alright, Oblivion Remastered Content Dev OBV Data. And as you can see, we have a ton of other ESP files here. And we're probably actually also already seeing this Stronger Two-Handed ESP file. And that's because I have Vortex doing all the heavy lifting for me already. So of course the ESP file is already here. I also have the patch right there. Now if we're manually installing this, all you need to do is pick out the files that you need. So you're going to use this file if you have the deluxe edition and drag and drop it over here. If you do not have the deluxe edition, you're just going to drag this file over here. And that is going to be as simple as that. And if you do have BUR, which is the Balanced Unleveled Rewards mod installed, what you need to do is also include this BUR X160 and drag and drop it over here. So once you have whichever of these you need, ESP files installed here, the last thing we need to do is we need to change the ini file the plugins.txt, which is in the same folder. Sorry, it's not an any. We have this plugins.txt file here. And if I pull it up, you can see we have essentially the load order from Vortex. So Vortex is also doing the heavy lifting here of controlling the load order and making sure it's right and being able to easily move things around if I need to. So if we stroll down here near the bottom, we've got these two right here. We want to keep them at the very, very bottom in the load order. And we want to put the stronger two-handed X160 ESP file, which we saw here. You need this exact file name, including the .esp, and you need to copy it and put it right here. Okay? Now, if you got a different version, if you tried the No Deluxe or if you have the Burr patch, you need to have the stronger two-handed No Deluxe 160 right here instead of this. And then you need the Burr X160 underneath that as it's a patch, only if you have the Burr mod installed. So it's very similar to this patch, just only if you have the Burr installed. And it's just that simple. You then have the mod installed manually. You have to drag and drop those files over here and then update the plugins to include that. Very straightforward, very simple. I don't think it's that complicated, and I much prefer Vortex to handle all this heavy lifting for me. Now, if you have the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch, you will also need this patch here, which is also a very straightforward manual mod install. So we'll do a slow download. We're going to download it to the exact same folder that we have the other mod. It's a zip file. Go ahead and save that. And if we open up here, you can see we have the zip installed. We'll go ahead and extract it with 7-zip. And then I no longer need the zipped up file. We just need this UORP patch. We will open it up, and as you can see, it already kind of has the folder structure matching your game because it's trying to be as compatible as possible with Vortex. And you can see if we follow this down, we go to Content, Dev, OBV Data, it's the same thing. Then we get to Data. You can see this ESP file right here, which we already have from our Vortex install. So all you'd have to do is drag this over here and make sure the ESP file is there. And then, of course, you have to update the plugins.txt file to also include exactly that name. So exactly that name. It has to go underneath the stronger two-handed ESP file. It can be above or under the Burr patch, but you do need to have it underneath both the stronger two-handed and the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch ESP file. And that is going to be it for manual installation for stronger two-handed weapons, as well as the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch. Alright guys, I hope that was pretty straightforward, pretty easy to follow along. If you got stuck anywhere or I was unclear in any way, please let me know in the comments down below. I try to get to those comments as best I can and help people out as best as I possibly can, even though I'll be remote. If you guys liked the video, please let me know. And as always, guys, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are on the two-hand reach mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And please don't forget, once you've downloaded this mod and played with it for a bit, if you find that you like it, don't forget to endorse the mod. Alright, so let's dive into this. What is two-hand reach? Well, if you've been playing Oblivion Remastered long enough, you will notice that the reach of two-handed weapons is absolutely poor. It is one of the most annoying aspects of the game, I think, is that when you're trying to hit something and you think that you should be able to with a gigantic two-handed long weapon, you just can't. You need to be up close and personal, basically within dagger distance of an enemy, and the reach for these weapons is pretty abysmal. Well, this mod aims to fix exactly that, and it comes with several different versions. So let's go ahead and take a look. We have a 1.2 times reach, as well as a multiplier for damage for that 1.2 times reach. Now, I've just covered a mod that goes over the damage of two-handed weapons, and I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm not going to get one of these that also increases the damage of these two-handed weapons, but if you want to, that's totally at your discretion. I think it's definitely a good thing. But we don't just have a 1.2 times reach, we have a 1.35 times reach as well. So you have all these different options here. And I think I'm just going to go with the 1.2 times reach for this installation guide. As you can see here, there's only a manual download option. It doesn't appear that this has a vortex option, which is a bit annoying, but it is what it is, guys. I will take you through exactly how to get this installed. But I do want to, real quick, cover one last thing before we dive too far into installation, and that is the requirements. So this mod itself doesn't require any other mods, but there are compatibility patches here. If you have the weight overhaul mod, it comes with a patch for this mod. So if you're using that mod, go ahead and go to the weight overhaul mod and make sure you get the patch for this. If you have Bant's Bazaar or Bountiful patches, go ahead and take a look at it and see what's going on here. And I'm sure if we go ahead and scroll down and start looking, I'm just going to scroll down to two-handed weapons, see if it's showing up here. Two-hand reach. We have Counting Beans and unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch. So if you have Counting Beans Remastered, as well as the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch, be sure to get this. This has the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch compatibility with two-handed reach, and the Morrowind style bound enchantment also has a compatibility patch as well. So just keep in mind this has a bunch of patches as well, but there is also the Michael's UORP patch hub right here, which also has a compatibility patch with the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch. So right here, this is also here. So if you have unofficial Oblivion Remastered, you can go to the Michael's UORP patch hub or Bant's Bazaar of Bountiful Patches to get the UORP compatibility patches. If you have Counting Beans, you'll probably want to go here as well, and if you have the Morrowind style bound enchantments, you'll also want this compatibility. Now, I myself only have the unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch, So this is the only one that I'm actually going to be installing. It has a mod manager download and a manual. Now the thing is, for me anyways, if this base mod does not have a Vortex option, then I'm going to manually install my patch for it as well. So just giving you guys a heads up, this is only going to be the manual installation, no Vortex today, which is a little bit unfortunate. So I'm just going to download this first option, the two-hand reach, the 1.2x reach. We'll do a manual download. Go ahead and do a slow download. And as you can see, I have a folder reserved for manual mods. You guys don't necessarily have to, just remember where you download this at. Make things a lot easier for you later on. So we're going to open up this folder. You can see it's a .rar file. I'm going to go ahead and extract it with 7-zip to here. And I no longer need the zipped file, so we'll go ahead and get rid of that. And you can see the two-hand reach folder here, and it just has an ESP file. So what we need to do now is I need to open my games folder for Oblivion Remastered. If you have a Vortex, this is pretty simple. Just open game folder. If you don't, I'm sure you're well aware of where your game folder is for Oblivion Remastered. It should be inside of Steam, Steam Apps Common, Oblivion Remastered. What we need to do is we need to get this ESP file in the right folder, which is Oblivion Remastered, Content, Dev, OBV Data, Data. And as you see in here, there should be several other ESP files, a lot of them from the base game, but probably also from some mods. I've got Vortex managing this, so it is aware of all the different files I've got here. This one I'm going to have to do myself though. So we have the two-hand-reach.esp file. I'm just going to go ahead and drag it over here. And as you can see, it shows up. If I refresh, it'll even be in alphabetical order right there. And that is step 1 for installation. The next thing we need to do is add it to the plugins.txt file so that it's in our load order and it knows that it needs to load that file. So down here, I've got the stronger two-handed. I'm going to place this underneath that. And you need to add exactly the name of the file. You can't have any typos or everything breaks. And this is just two-hand-reach.esp, so I'm going to put it here. It's going to be above my alter gym navigation and Tamriel leveled region. And then I'm going to go ahead and save this file. And that is it. The mod is now definitely 100% installed. This was the manual installation process. If we open up Vortex, I just want to show you guys, we refresh this list, we can take a look down here. You're going to see the two-hand-reach.esp is right there, and it's letting us know that it is not managed by Vortex. So it is there, but Vortex didn't have any part of it. Now, we can still use Vortex to change the load order if we want, which is very convenient. That's a very, very nice thing to have. It just goes in and overwrites that file that we were just messing with here to put that in a different location. Very convenient. I love Vortex so much. I know a lot of people don't. Alright, so I did tell you guys that I have unofficial Oblivion Remastered installed, so we do need to have the patch also installed. Now this says specifically for the 1.25 reach and the 1.5 times damage version. That is not the version that I just installed. I installed just the 1.25 times reach version. But over here on Michael's UORP patch hub, you can see this is for the 1.2 times version right here that doesn't have a damage increase. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one actually from Michael's UORP because that's the version that I have. If you don't have either one of these versions for the reach and damage, if you did something else and you have unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch, you're probably going to run into some kind of problem where one or the other is going to override, and you're going to miss some kind of functionality between the two of these, depending on your load order. So just keep that in mind. You can always message the mod authors and see if they will make a patch for the other versions as well. But as they don't right now, I'm just going to go ahead and download this because it works for me. So we're going to also do a manual download. Slow download. And it's going to come in as a zip file. And we'll go ahead and open that folder. I'm going to go ahead and extract it. And I don't need the zip file any longer, so I'll go ahead and wipe it out. And you can see we have these two different things here. I'm pretty sure this right here is the original file, and this is the patch, based off date modified. Okay, so we come in here and look at that. It absolutely is, because the name is patch UORP 2handed reach. Now, we are just going to drag this ESP file into this same folder location as we did before with the 2hand reach ESP. And then we have to go to the plugins.txt and also add specifically this file name. And I'll just copy that with a Control-C and put it down here with a Control-V. And if we save this with a Control-S, this is now saved. And you want to make sure that this patch for the 2hand reach and UORP are below both 2hand reach and below unofficial Oblivion Remastered patch. And that is it, guys. Very straightforward, very simple. The mod is now officially installed with the UORP compatibility patch. I hope that was pretty straightforward, very simple to follow along. As you can see in Vortex, if we refresh this list, you can also see the patches here. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I don't know what's going to happen here between the mod that changes their damage and the mod that changes the reach. If they're compatible or not, they may not be. We will see. If they aren't, I recommend the 2hand reach with the damage increase. There are lots of options here. You can have the increased damage based off up to 2 times. Not quite up to that 4 times that the other mod provides, but that is a-okay with me. Totally fine with it. But I hope this was all pretty straightforward, very simple to follow along. If you guys got lost anywhere, or if you think I made any mistakes, please let me know in the comments down below. Especially if you're lost somehow or something's not working, please, please, please let me know in the comments section of the video, and I will try to help you out as best I can. I'm trying to make these videos pretty concise and clear, and hopefully help people mod their game pretty well. Alright guys, with all of that out of the way, as always, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are back in the game, and real quick I just want to show you guys the normal archery. Maybe that wasn't a great demo of what I'm trying to show. But this right here certainly will be.
Do your worst.
Took a while to get over there. We're both shooting at each other. Okay. So that is just regular archery in the game. And now I'm going to go ahead and dive in with a new mod covering archery. Alright guys, we are now back in the game and I have the mod installed, Realistic Arrow Speeds for Bows, which makes things a bit faster with archery. Arrows moving quite a bit faster, which I think is pretty nice. It also lowers the pool of gravity, so they'll shoot pretty straight on. I think it's a huge benefit. Yep. Now, I don't know if you guys could really see that, but I could definitely feel that. Like that is basically instantly wherever I pointed it to. Nice. I really actually wasn't expecting. Oh, you're not friggin' dead. Okay, well, hopefully guys, that is a good enough demonstration. I don't know if it's going to translate well from this video, the difference there, but I certainly felt the difference just comparing the two, just vanilla archery versus this realistic arrow speeds for bows. I could feel this was way, way faster, and I think I like it a lot more too. It definitely makes archery more fun. You can definitely get much, like let me see how far I can shoot this thing. Can I get to that tree, maybe? If I aim right at the tree. Wonder where that arrow fell. That might have been a better test, actually. I'm never going to find this arrow. It didn't make it quite 100% here. That's alright. But yeah, hopefully you guys saw the difference between just vanilla and this. Hopefully this is a pretty cool mod and you guys are going to like it. With the demo out of the way, let's go ahead and get into installation, guys. Alright guys, we are on the Realistic Arrow Speeds for Oblivion Remastered mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And if you liked the mod, please don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about before we get into installation is, of course, the requirements. This mod is 100% going to require UE4SS for Oblivion Remastered, as well as UE4SS Game Settings Loader. If you don't have those installed, don't worry, I have videos covering installation for both of those mods, and I will leave links to those videos in the description down below. Please make sure that you have those mods installed before trying to install this mod, otherwise it will not work. Alright, so let's dive into installation. And for this mod, I'm going to go ahead and cover both the mod manager download and the manual download. So real quick, let's go ahead and dive into mod manager download. As you can see, it's going to remind us that it absolutely requires both of these mods. Please get these mods installed if you don't have them already. I will have links in the description down below on how to get these installed. Alright, that out of the way, let's go on to download. We will do a slow download. And with Vortex, you can see right here, realistic arrow speed UE4SS GSL version is right there and installed and ready to go. And it is literally just that simple, guys. Vortex is amazing. But for some of you out there that have not converted to Vortex quite just yet, I will walk you through the much simpler, much easier, much faster way of downloading this mod manually. I'm sure it's going to take much longer than 10 seconds. Let's test that. Go to manual download, download, slow download. And again, I have a manual mods install folder for all of the manual installation mods that I get. Just going to save it here. You guys can save it wherever you want, but just make it somewhere that you will remember. So now that it's done downloading, I'm going to go ahead and extract this file. Ah, dang, Vortex would have been done by now. Ah, shucks. Dang. Golly gee, guys. Anyways, I have extracted it here now, the realistic arrow speed. I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and we will go ahead and dive into this folder now. And as you can see, to be very compatible with Vortex, it has the folder structure to let us know exactly where to put it. But we still need to open up our actual games folder. So if we go here to games and we go to Oblivion Remastered, I can go ahead and open the game folder pretty easy from Vortex. I know some of you guys watching this right now, trying to get it manually installed, are not going to have Vortex, but you will most likely know where your Oblivion Remastered games folder is. If you don't, it's wherever you have Steam installed, Steam Apps Common, and then Oblivion Remastered. And we're actually going to dive in at the same thing here. So Oblivion Remastered, Oblivion Remastered. We're going to go into binaries, Win64, and then we are going to go to OBSE, plugins, and then game settings. And as you can see, Vortex has already done a great job of putting this here already. If you don't see either of these, that's totally fine. You may also not see even game settings folder. It could just be not here. If it's not here, you can go ahead and drag the game settings folder into here and it will handle everything for you. But you can also dive in and just move this on over if game settings folder is there. And then you have this realistic arrow speed any installed. If we head back up here under game settings, binaries, game settings, you can also see we have realistic arrow speed any here, and you can go ahead and just drag and drop this on over, and it will also be here in the Win64 folder. If you don't see the game settings folder, you can of course just drag this on over and it will be there. So let me double check that that's all there is for manual installation before I tell you guys some bad information. Extract the mod in game settings directory or use a mod manager like Vortex. Yep. Okay. So I second that, but if you guys wanted to manually install it, that is pretty much it, guys. I think even if you were up here and you went to here, you could just drag this folder over and it will replace all the files automatically or place them where they need to go. I think that works just as well. There's a lot of ways to go about manual installation, but I dove in a little bit. Hopefully that was pretty straightforward, very simple for you guys to follow along with. I hope you guys didn't get lost along the way. If you did, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will do my best to hopefully help you guys out. I have been pretty good about getting to the comments of my videos. And with all that out of the way, guys, as always, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are back in the game. I just want to go over a couple of things in the vanilla combat. Checking to see how good these AI are about making decisions. If there's any moments where they just kind of pause. Which it seems like that. See, a lot of standing still, a lot of waiting, which can be a little annoying, certainly, if you want a more aggressive combat and you want enemies to, actually feel like they're fighting for their lives. I think I have a mod just for that. So let's get into it. Alright guys, we are back in the game and I have the mod Responsive Combat AI installed. And what we're looking at here is for the AI to generally have less downtime and try to actually murder me. Try to figure out what to do. I think I'm kind of seeing that. A little quicker with the attacks here. That was a little bit of stun, but maybe that's because he was at low health. Trying to determine if he needed to block that. Yeah, I think the AI is just a little bit smarter there, which is pretty good. We're also looking for, are they going to try to block? Are they going to do all sorts of different actions? Basically, and I did a little bit of digging as to what exactly is happening behind the scenes with this mod. The AI basically flows through combat with a logic tree, and before it splits off in different paths, those paths are different decisions that the AI can make. There's a lot of options that seem a little unnecessary. So there's like, you know, the regular attack, power attack, block, move closer to you, etc. All these different options. But for whatever reason, they went ahead and added the option to just kind of stand there and wait. Like wait 1 second before making another decision, which is fine, except that particular logic tree option was weighted at like 40-50% of the time. They'll just stand there for a second before doing something else, which can be quite frustrating. And this mod kind of lowers that chance by quite a bit, actually. So I think overall, as you play with this mod installed, you're going to see that the AI is much smarter and much more prone to attack you or block or do whatever else they're going to do, besides just standing there waiting around to get killed, which I think is fantastic. But with the demo out of the way, I think it's time we go ahead and move to installation. Alright guys, we are on the Responsive Combat AI mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And just a quick reminder, if you like the mod, please don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into installation. And for this installation, I'm going to go ahead and cover both the Mod Manager download and manual download option. So let's dive into it, starting with the Vortex, really simple, really easy installation. Do the Mod Manager download, a slow download. And as you see in Vortex, Responsive Combat AI is already installed and enabled and showing up in our load order. If I can scroll down, there we go. That is pretty quick, pretty simple, pretty easy. Vortex is amazing. Ta-da, all done. Nothing else to do. Now, if you guys prefer the manual installation, I will walk you through how to get this thing installed there as well. We're just going to do a manual download real quick, do a slow download. And as you guys probably know by now, I have a folder reserved for manual installation mods. It's just really nice to have them all in one place, and then I'll know what's where and when and be able to access it pretty easily. So we're going to download this. It's going to be a zip file on download, and if we open it up here, you can see I have Responsive Combat AI zip file here. If you don't see the .zip extension, that's fine. It's just part of some views that I can see. It's not a big deal if you don't see it. You will notice the icon is a zipped file though, and that just means we're going to have to use some kind of tool to extract it. I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And now that I have it extracted right here, I no longer need the zip file, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it just to keep this clean and organized here. We go into the Responsive Combat AI folder, and for compatibility purposes with Vortex, it has a file structure in it that kind of lines up with your game folders. So I'm going to go into Vortex, go to Games. I'm going to pull up my game folder right here. Right. Did I miss something? What is happening? I feel like there's a whole mess of things that are missing right now. Interesting. Either way, let's go ahead and get in here and see Responsive Combat AI and Oblivion Remastered folder. If you guys don't use Vortex and you don't want to have an easy way to access it. Just know that your game folder is in Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered. And now we can go ahead and get into this installation process. We are basically going to follow this folder structure down. You can see Oblivion Remastered, Content. We're going to do the same here in our game folder. Oblivion Remastered, Content, Dev, OBV Data, Data. And as you can see in this folder here, there are a lot of ESP files from other mods as well as the base game. You see DLC Ori and things like that. We are just going to drag and drop this file right here into this folder. And as you can probably tell, since I already have this installed with Vortex, we have responsive combat AI.esp already installed here because Vortex is keeping track of that. So all you guys would have to do is drag and drop this over. I'm not going to do that because Vortex is already handling that for me. And then the last thing we need to do is you need to open the plugins.txt file and make sure that you have exactly as you see it, the file name here, in your load order near the bottom. And the mod author does recommend that this be very, very low in the load order to make sure that it's properly functioning. And as you can see, Vortex has already covered this, responsive combat AI.esp. This is the load order. If you don't have this, you're going to have to type this out. You can, of course, copy and paste this so you don't make any mistakes. Just make sure that it is here above Altar Gym Navigation and Tamriel leveled region, and everything should work out just fine. And as you can see here in Vortex on the load order, it's the exact same as this plugins.txt file. Basically, Vortex is managing this plugins file and using this load order to write this text file, which is fantastic. One of the big reasons that I love Vortex is because it handles all of this for me and I don't have to worry about it at all. So, up to you guys, but I hope that was pretty straightforward, pretty simple to follow along. Manual installations, not necessarily a complicated thing or anything like that. It's usually very straightforward and simple, but I much prefer Vortex for several reasons. The load order, being able to move it around here, drag and drop, instead of having to type it out in a text file. I do appreciate that. And it's really easy to disable mods and enable mods, as well as gather updates from Nexus mods. So that's just why I typically go for Vortex instead of manual installation. Alright guys, I think that covers everything. Hopefully this was pretty straightforward and clear. Hopefully you guys could follow along and you found a cool new mod to add to your load order. As always guys, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are back in the game on such a terrible day. But I have a new mod installed, Timed Block. And as you can see, I went to block as he attacked, and I got a nice timed block going on there.
Do your worst. I'm just warming up, you
See this
pathetic
better as they switches. See, that was the timed block, and if I'm just blocking, there's not really a slow motion here. But if I time it correctly, she gets stunned and is actually going to take a little bit more damage during all of that time. Yeah. So that's just a really nice mod that adds an extra layer to combat here, having timed blocks moving forward. Yeah, this is going to be on my load order pretty indefinitely. That is going to be absolutely major. So, yeah, hopefully you guys saw a nice new mod. Let's see if I can time. Not really. Yeah, I didn't really do good timing that block. Again, new mod. I will get better at this in the future. If you guys are watching my Let's Plays, this is probably going to make its way onto my load order there. Yeah, this is a fantastic mod. Now that you guys have seen it, let's go ahead and get into installation. Alright guys, we are on the timed block UE4SS mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And don't forget, if you like this mod, please endorse it. It's basically the like button of Nexus Mods. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into installation. Well, actually one thing before installation. This mod has two requirements. In order for this mod to function, you are going to need UE4SS for Oblivion Remastered. If you don't have that installed already, I will leave a link in the description down below to my video covering how to get that installed. And additionally, you're going to need the config helper UE4SS lib installed. And if you don't have that installed, I will also leave a link in the description down below with my video covering how to get that mod installed. Alright, with those two requirements out of the way, we're going to go ahead and move on to installation. I'm going to cover both the Nexus Mods Mod Manager Vortex installation as well as the manual download option as well. But let's start with Vortex because it is the better, preferred way. Okay, so it's just a quick reminder here again, you will need both of these mods in order for this mod to function at all. If you don't have either of these installed, I have links in the description down below with my video covering how to get those installed. Alright, last warning, we're going to move on to the Vortex download. So we're going to do a slow download here. And if we open up Vortex, very soon it's going to show up here. And there it is, timed block 1.4. And that is it, guys. This mod is completely installed now and ready to go. Vortex is just that simple, guys. But some people out there are going to insist on a manual installation, so I will go ahead and walk you guys through that as well. So for manual, we're going to, of course, do a manual download. It's going to remind us of the two mods that you need in order to get this ready. And I'm going to do a slow download. Now, if any of you have been watching my videos in the past, you will know that I have a manual mods folder right here. It just helps me keep track of these. You guys do not need your own manual mods folder anywhere or anything like that, but I think it's a lot nicer to have them all in one place to easily keep track of what mods I have manually installed for Oblivion. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. And once it is done getting downloaded, we're going to see it right here. It's a zip file. You can see the little zipper on the folder. We're going to go ahead and extract it. Now, I'm using 7-zip, but you guys can use whatever you want for that. We're going to get this completely unzipped, and there it is in its own folder, timed block. And now I can go ahead and get rid of the zip file. So we're going to open up timed block. And as you can see, it already has a folder structure that's going to help Vortex find out where this goes. And now we need to open our games folder for Oblivion Remastered. So let's go ahead and do that from Vortex. Very simple, very easy to do from Vortex to open the game folder. You can see it here. And for the rest of this, let's go ahead and find where UE4SS is. You guys probably know where your game folder is, by the way. It is inside wherever you've installed Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered. We're going to go into the Oblivion Remastered folder, Binaries, Win64, and then you're going to see this UE4SS folder here. So we're going to go ahead and go inside. We're going to go into the mods folder here. And you can see we have this timed block folder, and we can just drag and drop it into here, like so. That would be all we would need to do, is make sure that it's in the mods folder here. But as you can see, I already have timed block right here. That's because Vortex already has this installed and is managing this for me and did all the heavy lifting already. And that is honestly it, guys. That is the entire installation process. You can see Vortex is already managing this folder as well, and everything is where it should be. I hope that that was pretty clear. You guys were able to follow along with everything that I did. If you guys got stuck anywhere along the way, please go ahead and leave a comment down below, and hopefully I'll be able to help resolve whatever you run into along the way. With all that being said and done, as always, guys, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are back in the game and I have a new mod installed, Xorberax's Attack Canceling. And as many of you know, the combat in this game is a bit strange with the responses to different things. And one of them is, once you start attacking, you are locked into that animation despite anything else that happens, and this mod allows you to actually stop your attack mid-combat. I'll show this right now. Simply switch to blocking. I think there are several different things you can do to cancel the attack, but blocking is just one of them. This also means that right after you connect with a hit, you block and recover faster. And I think that is going to improve combat for so many people, including myself. I think this is going to be one of those mods that sits in my load order pretty much indefinitely. Did this person die of a heart attack? What happened? Was it NPCs on fire? It could have been. So let me try... It's just mid-swing for weapons. It's not with spells, which is totally fine, totally understandable. But it is definitely one of those mods that's going to help in a lot of situations. I can't tell you the number of times that I have run in and then, oh no, I have no health. And I needed to block and I couldn't, and I got completely destroyed because of it. Or if I'm in the middle of a chain like this and then I just need to block real quick, but I have to finish the animation all the way before I can block. It's kind of ridiculous. So this mod fixes that, and I think, man, I'm never gonna not play with this mod. This is great. Hopefully you guys found a pretty cool mod here. And with the demo out of the way, let's go ahead and get into installation. Alright guys, we are on Xorberax's attack canceling mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And don't forget, if you like this mod, please endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. And with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive on into it. So if we see here, we have requirements. This mod is going to require UE4 SS for Oblivion Remastered. So if you don't have that installed already, don't worry, I have a link in the description down below of my video covering how to install UE4 SS for Oblivion Remastered. You will need that in order for this mod to function at all. So just make sure you have that done. Alright, so let's dive into installation. I'm going to go ahead and cover both the Vortex installation and the manual installation. Hopefully that's going to help a lot of people out, but I'm going to start with the Vortex download for sure. I think that's the easier and more preferred way to get this mod installed. So we're going to go here with the Mod Manager download, and again, it's going to remind us you need UE4 SS for Oblivion Remastered installed. Down below, you will find a link on my video how to install UE4 SS for Oblivion Remastered. Please pause the video now and follow that along if you don't have UE4 SS for Oblivion Remastered installed. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to downloading. We will do a slow download here. And you can see here in Vortex, attack canceling 0.2.1 is right here. And that is it, guys. That is the entire installation process for Vortex. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, pretty simple. That is why I love Vortex. But if anybody is curious about manual installation, it's going to be mostly the same thing, just a lot more steps. So let's go ahead and dive into it now. We're going to do a manual download. It's going to remind us again, UE4SS. Go for the download, do a slow download. And people that have watched my videos in the past, you can see I already have a manual mods folder where I stash all of my mods that I install manually. This is going to be no different. So I'm just going to go ahead and save it there. And we will go ahead and open up that folder. You can see I have attack canceling right here, the zip folder, zipped up. We need to extract it. So I'm going to go ahead and use 7-zip to do so. Right, and it should be right up here at the top. Yep. So let's go ahead and delete the zip folder. I don't need that anymore. We just need this one. We're going to dive into attack canceling. And as you can see, we have attack canceling here. We now need to open up our games folder for Oblivion Remastered. The easiest way for me to do this is straight from Vortex. I can come over here and go to Open Game Folder. And you can see it's already pulled up my Steam directory for Oblivion Remastered. If you aren't using Vortex, this is just going to be wherever you have Steam installed. So Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered. And then we have the attack canceling opened over here. Now we just need to know where to put attack canceling at. So we're going to go into Oblivion Remastered, binaries, Win64, then we're going to go into UE4SS and mods. So as you can see in this folder, I already have attack canceling installed right here. That is because I have Vortex already installed, attack canceling, and it's managing this folder. It's already done all the heavy lifting for me, which is why I like Vortex much more than I like manual installations. But if you are manually installing this, all you have to do from here is go ahead and drag the attack canceling folder over here. Make sure it's installed in the mods folder and not inside one of these mods. And that is going to be it, guys. That is the entire installation process, both Vortex and manually. I hope that was pretty easy to follow along. I hope nobody got lost along the way. But if you did, or you encounter any issues with this, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below, and I will try to help debug whatever the issue is with you, even though I won't be, hands-on right next to you working on your keyboard. But I have been able to help some people resolve some things remotely. Alright, with all that out of the way, guys, as always, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are back in the game, and I have a new mod installed, which is Xorberax's slow motion shortcut wheel. And essentially what that does is we get, it doesn't have to be in combat, it could be at any time, but essentially opening up this wheel puts everything in slow motion. As you can see with the arrow flying, which I think adds a little dynamic to the game. If you've got like potions and stuff, you can access them and it not really stop the game, but it also not be too difficult to access your wheel, which I think is absolutely amazing. And I think adds quite a bit to combat, actually. I think it's a fantastic mod. I think it definitely makes the game feel a lot cooler. Makes those higher difficulties, I guess, slightly easier, maybe, but I think it just overall makes the game go by a lot smoother. I'm gonna have this installed all the time. It's already installed in my playthrough of Oblivion that I've got on here, and I think that's never gonna come off my load loader at all. This is a great mod, and you can see even if I jump, I will be in slow motion while jumping even. It's fantastic. I love it. Alright, hopefully you guys think this is a pretty cool mod too, and I'm going to go ahead and cover installation so you guys can get your hands on it. Alright guys, we are here on Xorberax's slow motion shortcut wheel mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And if you like this mod and you think it's pretty cool, please don't forget to endorse the mod. I personally think this is a phenomenal mod that is never going to leave my load order. Alright, let's go ahead and dive on into everything about this mod. So first thing that we need to talk about before installation is the requirements. This mod is, of course, going to require UE4SS for Oblivion Remastered. So if you don't have that installed, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below to my video covering how to get UE4SS installed. Okay. So let's now dive into installation. I'm going to cover both the Vortex and the manual download options for installing this mod. And we're going to start with the Vortex download because I think that's the better way of getting this thing installed. And the mod manager download. This is again a quick reminder, you're going to need UE4 SS for Oblivion Remastered in order for this mod to function at all. So please pause the video, take a moment, go get this installed if you don't have it installed already. I have a link in the description down below, my video covering how to get this installed. Okay, that was last warning. Going on now to installation. So we're just going to do a slow download here. And if we pull up Vortex, you are going to see slow motion shortcut wheel right here. I think that was a very nice touch that the mod author did. The mod's name on Nexus is Xorberax's slow motion shortcut wheel, but on Vortex it is showing up as slow motion shortcut wheel. I think that is fantastic. That's great. That's how people are going to remember this mod, so kudos to him. And that is it, guys. That is the entire installation process for slow motion shortcut wheel if you already have UE4SS installed. But I am a man of my word, and I did promise we're going to cover the manual installation. Alright, so we're going to do the manual download here. Go ahead and download it, and do a slow download. For any of you that have been watching my videos, you know I already have a manual mods folder set up where I keep track of all the mods that I install manually, and this is not going to be any exception where it's getting downloaded to. It's really nice, really easy to keep track of things if you have them all in one folder, but feel free to do as you like. Just remember to keep track of this thing. Remember where you saved it to. So once it is down, once it's done downloading, it's going to be in here, and it's in a zip file. We're going to need to extract it, so I'm going to do that with 7-zip. And you can see slow motion shortcut wheel is right there. We no longer need the zip file, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And we're now going to dive into the slow motion shortcut wheel folder. Alright, and then we now need to open up our games folder for Oblivion Remastered. I'm going to use Vortex to open it up myself, but if you are manually installing this, you're probably not going to do that. So what you'll need to do is go to wherever you have Steam installed, go to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, and Oblivion Remastered, and then we will be looking at the same thing. So, where do we need to put this? All of this. Well, it's actually pretty easy. We're going to go into Oblivion Remastered. We're going to go to Binaries, Win64, UE4SS, Mods, and you can see certainly all sorts of different things already installed here. And you may even notice that I already have slow motion shortcut wheel right here, the folder. That's because I have everything installed with Vortex, and Vortex went ahead and did all the heavy lifting already of where to put this mod. If you are manually installing this, all you have to do at this point is drag and drop this over here. Make sure it's in the mods folder. And that is going to be it. That will install the mod. Hopefully that was pretty simple instructions. Hopefully you guys were able to follow along with everything that I did. If you got lost anywhere along the way or you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments down below. I've been pretty good about getting back to people about issues they run into and helping people debug what went wrong and where. And as always, guys, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are on the Better Difficulty OBSE ASI mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And don't forget, if you like this mod, please, please, please endorse it. That is basically the like button for Nexus Mods. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into what exactly Better Difficulty does. So this was a very, very nice mod. I very much love this mod. It affects the difficulty slider. When you change difficulties, you get different settings for how much damage the enemy does to you and how much damage you do to enemies, which there's been a lot of controversy since Oblivion Remastered came out that the difficulty slider is a bit crazy. Well, this mod has basically a configuration you can set yourself to where you can tweak it to whatever you like. So in the base game, the vanilla settings are pretty much this, and this, and this, and this, and this. But with this mod, once you have it installed, you can go into the betterdifficulty.ini file and tweak it to your liking, which means you can do crazy things. Like on master difficulty, you can have damage dealt cranked up to 6 and damage taken cranked up to 6, making master difficulty dangerous for you and the enemy. And you can do that with all of these. You can tweak them to whatever you want. You could make damage taken times 10 and damage dealt times 1. So you do the same amount, but master difficulty only increases how much damage you take. Or vice versa. Master difficulty, you can have damage dealt be 0.167, but damage taken still be at 1. So you take the same amount of damage, you just do a lot less. The real power of this mod is that you can just configure however you like what the 5 difficulties do. And as part of this, not just damage dealt and damage taken, you can also configure how much damage your summons will do. So this is how much damage they can deal and how much damage they can take. And being able to configure that is also crazy huge, because one of the exploits for master difficulty to get through it is to just have summons go crazy, because on master difficulty they have that extra damage dealt that you don't. They're much stronger than you are. So you can tweak this as well to where your own summons take 6 times as much damage and only deal 1/6 of the damage like you do. Or you can set these all up however you want. You could have novice difficulty be 10 times damage both ways and have master difficulty be 1/10 damage both ways. And basically, if it's on novice, combat's very fast. If it's on master, combat drags out. This mod is fantastic. You can set your own pace and do whatever you want here. I love it. It is incompatible with other difficulty mods, and if this is loaded after those, it will completely overwrite them. So just keep that in mind if you have other difficulty mods, and I certainly do have difficulty slider fixed times 3. Unfortunately, these two aren't compatible, but you can use this mod to replicate the difficulty slider fixed. So just keep that all in mind. I will not have difficulty slider fixed probably moving forward, which is kind of sad. I do really like that mod. I think that is probably the most fair difficulty slider mod I think it's really good. It's probably going to be what I use for my playthrough still, but this mod is going to be way more fun, I think, because you can kind of go nuts. So let's move out of the what is this mod and move into the requirements and installation. So for the requirements, this is of course going to use OBSE 64. If you don't already have that installed, I'm going to leave in the description down below a link to my video covering how to get that mod installed. Okay, with that out of the way, let's see, mods requiring this file. I think this whole thing is a compilation of mods, but if not, just make sure if you're trying to use Deadlier Combat, you have this mod installed first. Okay, with that out of the way, let's move on to actual installation. And this mod very conveniently has the Mod Manager download option and the manual installation. Of course, it has manual installation. And I'm actually going to go ahead and cover both of these. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and download the OBSE version, not the ASI version. I think ASI version is for Game Pass, so if you have the Game Pass version of Oblivion Remastered, go ahead and download this one. If you don't and you have the Steam version with OBSE 64, you're going to need this version right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Mod Manager Vortex download first. And just as a quick reminder, you will need OBSE 64 installed. I will again have the link in the description down below to my video covering installation for OBSE 64. So we're going to go ahead and do a download, do the slow download, and down here we have better difficulty OBSE installed right here. Now, how do we configure this thing to do what we want? Well, we're going to open in File Manager this mod's directory. As you can see, if we dig down here into OBSE, plugins, we have these two files here. Neither of these are actually the installation, the configuration. What we need for configuration on this one in particular is we need this ini file. And as you can see, place this next to better difficulty DLL and better difficulty ASI. Now that is right here. So some of you might not actually see these extensions. If you see two files that just say better difficulty, you can see the type over here, PDB file and application extension. You know you're in the right place. It won't matter. I just have extensions visible when I'm browsing, but that's neither here nor there. What we need to do is we need to install this better difficulty ini right here. And I'm actually going to do the manual installation for this. It's a reminder we need OBSE 64. But I'm just going to download this manually, do a slow download. And anybody that's watched my videos before, you know I have a manual mods installation folder where I keep all of the mods I install manually. This is going to be no different. And we're going to go ahead and open this up. You see the 7-zip here. We need to extract it. I'm going to use 7-zip to do so. Bleh, if I can talk. And if we reload this, you can see up here I've got better difficulty folder right here. We'd no longer need the 7-zip folder, so I'm going to go ahead and get away with that. We're going to go here to better difficulty, and you can see we have the ini file right there. What we need to do is in that mods folder where we saw these two, we just need to drag this on over. And now that we have it in there, we actually have to open it and mess with some numbers. So you can see here, it's broken up into sections of novice, apprentice, adept, expert, and master. And it has all these different settings already configured. This is 3 times damage and 1/3, and this is double and half, as you can see. And all of our summons have 1 times the damage, which is totally fine, but what we really want is to be able to configure these. And I'm going to actually set this to 0.33, and I'm going to set this to 0.5, and I'm actually going to do the exact same thing for my summons. And it really is just this simple. You guys, by all means, you don't have to follow me exactly on what I'm setting these. Just know that when you change these numbers, you are going to see this in the game as whatever you are doing. And it looks like he had expert and master set up to be, you still do 1 times the damage, but you receive 3 times as much damage. I am just going to make this 3 times damage on master, and it's going to be much deadlier and faster combat on master now, and much easier and slower combat in novice. And now that I'm done with that, all I'm going to do is save this file. And I think for the most part we are wrapped up with this, but I do need to, with Vortex, go to better difficulty and disable it, and then re-enable it now that we've made changes to the better difficulty, and it is going to pick up all the changes we made and use those settings now in-game, which is phenomenal. I freaking love this mod. Thank you so much for making this. But that is it. We have installed with Vortex and went ahead and configured all the game settings. So with all of that out of the way, let's dive back into manual installation for the actual mod. Now we already have the config file here and installed, so I'm not going to redo this. We're just going to use it for our manual. So let's get to the manual install for OBSE. Again, you need OBSE 64 here. I'm going to download, do a slow download. It is going to get installed in the same manual mods folder I've got. Go ahead and save it. And once it is done downloading, we'll see it here. And again, it's a zip file, and we're going to need to extract it, so I'm going to use 7-zip to do so. And since it is here, this is the ini file, and this is the actual mod itself, we no longer need the 7-zip, and I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So now we have this better difficulty actual mod here, and it already has a good folder structure of Oblivion Remastered, binaries, Win64, OBSE, plugins, yada yada yada. And that helps Vortex know where to put this, but we aren't doing Vortex now. We're actually doing the manual install. So what we need to do is go back to, this is Vortex. This isn't even the actual game folder. Man, okay. What am I looking at even anymore? Better difficult. This is the ini file. This is the actual mod. And now we need to open up our actual game. So let's go ahead and do that right now before anybody gets too confused about what we're looking at. We have Oblivion Remastered here in Vortex, and I'm just going to real quick open game folder. So we have the actual game here now. I'm going to minimize this so we're well aware of what we're looking at here. This is the actual mod, this is the ini file, and this is Oblivion Remastered. So as you can see, both of these have Oblivion Remastered. We're going to dive into here. We're going to go to binaries, Win64, OBSE, and then we have a plugins folder. And as you can see, we have these two files here, the DLL and the PDB. If you are manually installing this, all you have to do is drag these on over here, get them in, and they're going to show up there. And I already have them. I already have them right here, the DLL and the PDB right here. We also want the ini file dragged in over here as well. So if you are manually installing, manually install that ini file like we did before and drag it over here. And then from in here, you want to open it and make all your changes. Make sure that they're good to go. And I think that is it for the manual installation. I, of course, already have these here because I've installed with Vortex and it's automatically managing all of my files for me. So it picked up even the ini file that we added to the mod. I think that is it, guys. Let me just real quick double check in the description so I'm not telling anybody some falsehoods. Installation, copy all these things in Oblivion Remastered. Download the ini file from the optional section, place it next to those. That's right there. Pretty good. Ini file needs to be in the same folder. If you move the ASI somewhere else, like plugins, ini needs to move with it, yada yada yada. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all we have, guys. I think that's completely installed correctly and good to go. Hopefully that was pretty simple instructions. You guys were able to follow along. Hopefully you guys didn't get lost, especially with that ini file, because I know I manually installed it before I manually installed the mod. Just keep in mind, you will need to get that ini file if you want custom settings, otherwise you'll have the default settings. And that is it, guys. If you got lost along the way or you ran into any problems or something's not going right, let me know in the comments down below and I will try my best to get back to you and help resolve any and all issues that you've got. Alright, with all that out of the way, guys, as always, happy modding and happy Mondays. Hey guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And thanks for watching Modding Mondays, the series. I am trying to get these videos spread as far and wide as possible so we can get as many people as possible modding this game and not being afraid to try to get their local system set up. I am going to need your help in doing this though, so please, please, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video as much as possible so we can get more people modding this amazing game. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you next time.